Hello. For this tutorial, we'll be looking at file upload vulnerability. To test this vulnerability, I will be using the damn vulnerable web application, which I've installed on this Ubuntu image. So to be able to access this web server, we first need to get the IP address of the server. And we can see that this is the IP address of the web server that is hosting damn vulnerable web application. So we'll simply go to that IP address /dvwa, which will take us here. And if this isn't your first time logging in, it'll ask for a username, which by default is admin, and the password by default is password. Once you've logged in, you need to come down here to DVWA security and set the setting to low for our exercises today. Next, we'll look at file upload. So, as we can see, it's just two boxes, a browse and an upload. Here, we'll pick this picture of these cute pandas, and then we'll upload it. The website tells us that the file was uploaded here. And just in case you don't know, this ... basically means go back a directory. So our current directory is dvwa vulnerabilities upload. The ... would take us out of the upload directory, and the second ... would take us out of the vulnerabilities directory. So this web server puts the file in a location we can still access from the web browser. And I'll prove that here by taking this whole directory here, copying it, and then placing it here. And as you can see, we can still access the file that we just uploaded. So, is this vulnerable? Of course. Consider if we upload some PHP file and then try to access it from the web browser. Doing this will cause the PHP file to be run on the web server, since PHP is server-side scripting. So now that we understand the vulnerability and why it's vulnerable, let's look at a way to exploit this file upload vulnerability. I would generate some PHP shellcode with MSF Venom, and trying to explain MSF Venom's full capabilities is beyond the scope of this tutorial, but just know that it can be used to generate payload for a variety of situations. So in our console, we can type msf venom -p, and we'll pick the payload. In this case, we need PHP payload that can run in the interpreter, and it's going to be of type reverse TCP. And to understand how a reverse TCP shell binding works, I will, in the comments, add another video that explains it in more detail. So then we need to set the L host, and the L host needs to be set to this virtual machine's IP address, which is this number. And then L port we can honestly set to anything, but just to make it easy to remember, we'll set it to 444. It's important that you pick a number above 1024 because anything below port 1024 requires root privileges to actually bind to. So then we'll let this go, and it's going to generate the shellcode given the parameters that we just gave MSF Venom. It appears I've misspelled interpreter. There we go. So everything from here down is our shellcode. So we'll simply take that and we'll stick it into our own file. Now, what we're going to do from here is we're going to upload this file to the server, and then we're going to access this file on our local web browser. And what this is going to do is it's going to cause this file to be executed on the server. And basically, to sum up what a reverse TCP shell is going to do for our case, is this file contains code which is going to make the server connect to us. So what we need to have is a listener that can accept that connection and then keep going with it. And to have that listener set up, we're going to use Metasploit. Okay, so we're going to use the multi-handler, which is basically just a generic payload handler. We're going to set the payload to what we set in MSF Venom. And similarly, we're going to set the lhost to the same thing that we set in MSF Venom, IP address of our local machine. And then finally the L port, we're going to set to the same thing, 444. And then we run. So we see here that we have started a reverse TCP handler on 192.168, blah blah blah, our local machine. So now we've got the listener set up. Now we simply need to upload this file to the server and then access that file. So there's the PHP shellcode we just generated. We'll upload. Knowing the location of our shellcode, we'll simply copy this and go to it. You may notice that nothing really happened here, and that's okay, because we're not interested in actually getting output back to the web browser, but rather starting this interpreter session here. And it's a little weird to get back to it. Metasploit doesn't automatically go to the interpreter sessions, but to get to it, you simply type sessions, tac I, and we see that it's the first session here, so we'll set it to session 1. In here, we have an interpreter session. If we want to start a shell, simply type shell, and this is it. And if we see the privileges we are currently executing with, it's www-data, which is the user account on Linux machines that Apache typically runs under. So there are a variety of things you can do to protect against this type of attack, but that will be the topic of future tutorials. Thank you.